I'm building a dedicated shop next to our house this spring, and I've been working with a designer to help turn my idea into reality. I'm not only going to share this entire journey with you starting from the very beginning, but I actually want your help in the design phase, so let's talk shop. A shop can mean many things to many people, so let me start by laying out what the shop is going to be and maybe more importantly, what it's not going to be. So this new space will be a dedicated shop detached from our house, which I will use to build or create all kinds of stuff that hopefully will get featured here on YouTube. This shop is not going to be used as a garage, meaning there won't ever be a car parked in it. I also won't have to worry about working on cars in here because we've got our main garage dedicated to that. But I do want to design the shop such that it can be a garage down the road, for resale value. Along the same lines of resale value, the requirement from the missus was that this structure has to match the style of our house. So same exterior finishes, roof pitch, even molding. So I can't just put up a pole barn. Now for what goes on in the shop, this is not going to be a dedicated wood shop. It will absolutely have woodworking tools within it, but I also want to use it for other things like metalworking. So I got to think about how I'm going to use the space to keep those areas separate if I can. Now when it comes to size, I know everyone says make it as big as you can and then double it. Unfortunately, I'm bound by a budget and my property line. We're actually extending as far back as we possibly can to get right at that easement to maximize the available space. And I know it's kind of hard to see on camera, but there's a pretty serious slope here that we're also gonna have to contend with. And finally, this shop is gonna be an integral part of a huge backyard project I've planned this year, including a back deck, patio, and a pool that's gonna go right there. That part will make more sense here in a minute. All right, so here is where we're at now. As you can see, here is the front elevation showing the 16-foot wide by 8-foot tall garage door, which is taller than a standard 7-foot door. Oh, and I can't really go taller due to an overall building height restriction imposed by the township I live in. Obviously, the lap siding and the rock you see here is going to match the house. The left side elevation shows a porch, which is going to be facing the pool area. I want to put kind of a grill and chill spot under there. And this man door is going to be the main entrance into the shop. And then looking at the rear elevation, you can see this massive slope on the back side of the shop and how it affects the foundation. That means that the back corner of this foundation will have an engineered retaining wall as part of the design. And then finally, the right side elevation shows the exact same hill. So when I was first starting to plan out this project, including the backyard renovation, the slope and undulation of my yard was really throwing me for a loop. It's pretty hard to know how much dirt you need to bring in, or in the case of the shop, remove, without truly understanding the terrain. So I decided to map out my entire backyard using this smart level. I didn't even know these existed until like 3 months ago. But they are a very cool alternative to something like a laser and a story pole. It's basically a super precise altimeter that measures the pressure difference of a fluid depending on the elevation of the sensor itself. So I can zero it here on the driveway and map out the yard, taking readings wherever I want, and get a reading within a 1/16 of an inch in elevation. This thing has 100 feet of tubing, so I can effectively measure an area of about 200 feet in diameter, plus I can just leapfrog it if I have to go farther out. After about 20 minutes, I was able to take all of those readings and record them into my phone through their app, and then even generate a topographical map of my backyard, which I can even overlay on an image I took with my drone. Super cool. I'm gonna be using this thing a lot out here. I just figured I'd share. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I'll leave a link down below if you wanna go check it out. But if you've got any big project, especially one outside, this makes a lot of sense. All right, so now we've got the overhead view of the foundation. So what we've got here is an L-shaped structure, partially because we want the elevation view from the pool area to look interesting, and that difference in depth can give us that. You'll also notice a small bathroom in this back corner that's going to be accessible by the pool so that people aren't having to go in and out of the house. Plus it gives me a place to take a leak when I'm working. The total square footage of the foundation minus that front porch is 940 square feet, which seems huge compared with what I'm dealing with right now, which is a 3-car garage of about 200 square feet less than that. But I know I'm gonna find a way to quickly fill it up with stuff. And listen, the drawing is really cool, but my brain works better in 3D. So I employed my army of digital fabrication robots to make me a scale model. Did I need to do this? No. Could I have saved hours of my time modeling in Fusion 360 and instead just hot glued some cardboard together? Sure, but where would be the fun in that? Going a little overboard or taking the extra time on things you care about is important, kind of like your health. Which is why I'm excited to tell you about AG1, a daily foundational supplement that supports whole body health. What if I told you there was one thing you could do every day to cover your bases and give yourself foundational nutrition? Well, that's exactly what AG1 does, and I've been taking it every day for years. It's now ingrained in my morning routine. I mix the AG1 powder into 8 ounces of cold water, mix it up, and enjoy. Though I will admit it looks a little sketchy, it actually tastes pretty good. AG1 is a science-driven formulation of vitamins, probiotics, and whole food source ingredients that support our brain, gut, and immune system. It combines what you would normally get from multiple individual supplements into a simpler, more effective way to raise your overall health, while also supporting daily performance and even aging. Listen, no matter what time of year it is, whether it's the busy holiday season or just the season of life, taking care of our bodies often falls to the bottom of the priority list. One of the easiest possible things you can do is mix up some AG1 and drink it every day. But don't just take my word for it, it's recommended by tons of authorities in the health and wellness space. So if you want to give yourself or someone you love the gift of foundational nutrition, save $20 by subscribing at drinkag1.com/shopnation. AG1 is also going to give my community a free 1-year supply of AG1, vitamin D3 and K2, plus 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Big thanks to AG1 for making health so easy and for sponsoring this video. Here is the new shop in 3D, and it's even got removable wall sections. I know. Now this model is in 1/24th scale, so a ½ inch here equals 1 foot in real life. Now after adding the little bathroom walls here, I'm left with an interior footprint measuring 21 feet across this back wall, 33 feet along the side, 29 feet across the front, 17.5 feet along this side, 7.5 feet across the front of the bathroom, and then finally 15.5 feet back, which comes out to 824 square feet of sweet usable shop space. Wait, I thought you said it was 940 square feet. Yeah, that was the outside perimeter of the foundation. This is 2x6 framing. By the time you put all that stuff in and subtract the bathroom, we're left with 824. Now, how I use this shop space is where I want your help, because laying out a shop efficiently is so important for not only maximizing the space, but also making it just easy to use, which we know is important. So to help with that, I doubled down on the ridiculous factor and actually 3D printed some scaled down shop infrastructure like cabinets, workbenches, even tools. That's right, I basically made a maker dollhouse, complete with a butt-naked scaled down human for reference. What this lets me do, besides waste way too much time, is check for not only flow and functionality, but also clearances. Sometimes we imagine things are farther apart than they actually are. Once we put them in the space, we realize, oh, there's only 2 feet between those things. Is that really enough? Actually, to help with that, I made a little 2-4-6 block. It's kind of like a 1-2-3 block, but it's in the scale of the model. So if I want to find out if something's 2 feet apart, I can just place this and I know that that's 2 feet in model world. Now I mentioned I want the space to be multi-purpose, so half woodworking, half metalworking, roughly. So my first question to you is it okay if they mix, or should I separate the two areas? I know a lot of people out there do both, and I'm curious to know what you think. I know metalworking historically is just dirtier, especially when you're grinding and welding. Woodworking obviously produces a lot of sawdust, which is flammable, so I'm thinking you want to keep them as far apart as possible, but in a relatively small space like this, sometimes it gets tough. We should also talk about utilities, which is a really important topic for any shop. I am going to have to pull a new 200 amp service to this shop, which is going to service the shop as well as the yet to be built pool area. Now luckily the pool area I don't think is going to be a huge power draw, just some pumps and lights and stuff. So I think after all that, I'll probably have about 140 amps of that 200 amp service for the shop. I do plan on running 220 in a couple of spots. I don't know if I'm going to do multiple circuits, but I for sure am going to have 220 and then obviously a bunch of 110 20 amp circuits as well. I'm also planning on plumbing the exterior walls for airdrops. Currently I don't use a lot of compressed air, but if you're bringing in larger machines like CNC, air becomes more important. Next up is water. I obviously have a bathroom back here, so I got to bring water in and drain water out. I'm thinking of putting an extra drain somewhere around the bathroom area where I can have like a mop sink for cleaning stuff out. I don't want to use the sink in here and dirty it all up. I'd rather have kind of a messy sink out here. Thoughts on that? Is there something I should be looking out for? Again, leave them down below. And last but not least is dust collection. This is probably the utility I've given the most thought to. And originally when I was thinking of sort of the shop layout, I thought I was going to have to plumb dust collection at some point in the center. I am not a big fan of drops coming from the ceiling, so I wanted to bring everything in from underneath if I could. So obviously the first option is to hard pipe it underneath the foundation. Problem with that is you're committing to a certain spot for dust collection. I don't feel comfortable enough with that. I mean, I'm literally sitting here in front of you with a maker dollhouse trying to figure out what the heck this thing's going to look like. It's definitely going to change even after this. So my next idea was actually to put a sort of utility trench down the center of the shop, big enough where I can fit a dust collection hose, PVC or at worst a flexible hose, and maybe even conduit for power. That would give me flexibility to pop it up anywhere along the trench, and I wouldn't be married to a specific spot. Now that I'm looking at this and I've already played around with putting some stuff in here, I don't know that I need any dust collection to the center of the shop, but that could change. So another question, for folks who have dust collection run in their shops, any tips Suggestions, things you wish you did different. As you know, I'm not like a hardcore woodworker, so it's not like I have a huge amount of tools that would require dust collection, but I'm a big fan of dust collection and I want the tools I have to be clean. And finally, the last idea I want to talk about before we get into this is a utility room. So my first thought was I wanted to wall out a little area for the dust collector and air compressor, mostly for noise. It really does a lot to dampen the sound in the shop, but also you just don't have to look at it, which is kind of nice. But again, now that I'm sitting here with this in front of me, do I really want to wall off an area? Is that a responsible use of space? I don't know. We can play around with that. All right, enough yapping. Let's start putting some stuff in here. All right, so there's my first pass. Let me walk through what I did. So this back area, to me, just stands out as a good spot for the wood shop. I don't know if it is, but it just kind of, this back wall looked good for cabinets. That's basically why I picked it. You can see a cabinet setup very similar to what I have in my current shop right now. So we got a little miter station here, some uppers, lowers. That works, but there's no reason why I couldn't wrap the cabinets around this back area. One of the things that I try and do in any shop situation is to preserve wall space as much as possible, because it is, in my opinion, one of the biggest resources you have in your shop. We use our walls for everything. So filling them all up with cabinets may not actually be the best case. So I've got a workbench here. This is the same size as the workbench I have in my current shop. It's 4x6 roughly. Got a little bandsaw hiding right here. I don't do any resawing, so there's no reason to have full clearance to and from. Plus I can pull it out if I need to. This monstrosity right here next to our naked Travis is material storage. So right now I have a cart, which works pretty good. This is just a mock-up, but I'm thinking something with a lot of cubbies and stuff where I can store a bunch of material. It's close to the table saw, which is right here up against the wall, which I'll talk about, and the CNC, which I currently do not own, but might live there one day. I don't know. Up front is sort of the metalworking area. You can see I've got these adorable little gas bottles for the welder, two little 4x4 welding tables. Not that I need two welding tables, but it's just a good representation of what two 4x4 tables would look like in there. Got some cabinets here with non-wood tops and an air compressor up near the front. This wall here is the dust collection heavy tools. So this is a floor standing jointer, which I do not own. This is modeled as an 8-inch jointer, but I know jointers along with table saws and planers are good candidates for dust collection, large dust collectors. So I thought by putting them all on one wall, it makes running the ductwork easier. I plan on addressing miter saw dust collection locally underneath with an extractor, and then also putting an extractor in here and then probably somewhere else in the shop too. So I have the table saw tucked all the way up against the wall, which is something I've really never done. I've just got this little outfeed table on the back side of it. My thought is that there's no real reason to get to this side of the table saw for me. This would give me the full rip capacity of my saw, which is 30 inches. If it had more, I would just obviously move it out a little bit more. I still have the full end feed. Hold on one second. I even cut out what a 4x8 sheet of plywood would look like so I can see in feed. So obviously it clears here. Table saw is typically a little bit higher than what your standard cabinets are. So I get full in-feed and out-feed. It's close to where I would potentially store it or bring it in from, this would be where the garage door is. So I don't know, that might work. Interested to hear your take. I've seen some people have their table saw up against a wall like this. Obviously it's kind of nice when it's out in the center and then you can, pair it up with a workbench. This is kind of how my configuration is set up right now. It gives you lots of room around the tool, but obviously then you have to run dust collection and power to it sitting in the middle of your shop. So this kind of alleviates both of those issues. In this back corner, I have this little dust collector, which you could probably guess based on the shape. This is the Harvey G700, which is an awesome dust collector. I don't own one, but I love the small form factor, how easy it is to clean, all that good stuff. So I'm just trying to figure out if I can incorporate that into the shop. Over here by the CNC, I have a hanging dust collector like the one I have in my current shop, the Dust Right 1250, I think it is. So maybe I have one just dedicated to a CNC. I don't know. We'll see. So this is version 1. So now I'm going to undo it and we'll do version 2. right, for try number 2, it looks similar but different. Let me point out some of the big differences. The first one is I put in a utility little closet thing back here for the dust collector and the air compressor. I kind of like it. I think I'm probably going to go that direction. If it's going to be in this exact corner, I don't know yet, but it doesn't really change much as far as footprint, and it looks a lot cleaner, so I like it. I also put in a wish list item, which is like a knee mill for metal. I kind of made it like a little cell over here for metal. One welding table, just got a little bank of cabinets here. There's another bank here. There'll probably be more upper cabinets on this side that you can't see on this wall. And then a welder, obviously. I relocated the wood CNC to this wall so that all of the big sort of dust generators were all in one place, which could be serviced by one run of dust collection piping. I also put in a little mop sink right here. Again, close to the bathroom, just makes plumbing easier. Random drill press, you don't really need much room around a drill press. I've got the jointer and the little bandsaw back here. Yeah, I feel like this one makes the most sense to me. I also added another workbench over here because I feel like I'm gonna use this area for a lot of things. Like, it's not just gonna be as clear cut as it is in my head. But I like this, I like the flow. I checked the clearances everywhere with my little clearance block. I've got 4 feet pretty much around everything, which 4 feet in a shop is really, really nice. In my current shop, I've got a really, really tight fit behind my workbench between that and where my list of cabinets are. And then I've got about 4 feet between where my cabinets and the workbench, and it is such a big difference. So if I can have that clearance around everything, it would make things a lot easier. So yeah, I think this is a version that I kind of like. The beauty of doing something like this is that I can tinker with it indefinitely, really drive myself crazy. But I want to hear your suggestions. Like, is there something I'm overlooking? Am I too dead set on this area being the wood shop and that area being metal that I should switch it around? Leave any and all suggestions down in the comments. I'm going to read them. I'm going to try and respond to as many as I can because this is important to me. I mean, shop greatness is kind of like my thing, right? So I want to do this right, and I want to go into this prepared. And I've already learned a couple things that I would have not necessarily known had I not done this exercise. So I think if anything, whether you're building a new shop or you just have a shop, this is really valuable. And of course, you don't have to go through the total ridiculousness of this. You could just draw something out to a scale on a piece of paper, cut out little squares that are footprints of your different tools, and just start moving stuff around. It's a really good exercise that I would recommend to just about anybody. I'm gonna actually upload all of the models, because I had to model all this stuff, through thangs.com, and I'll put those available for free. So if you wanna do this, you're gonna have to do it in 1/24th scale. But yeah, this came in really handy, and you can save a lot of trouble that I went through. So I'm really excited for this project. I know it's gonna be a ton of work, and I'm gonna be documenting the entire thing. So if you're not subscribed, consider doing that. Any and all suggestions and feedback is welcome by me. I really appreciate it. Everyone from every different walk of life and experience, it's all valuable. So until next time, keep pursuing that sweet, sweet miniature shop greatness. The plan is to build a detached shop on the property, which is awesome. I'm excited to start that process and bring you along on the whole journey. And of course, I'll be doing a build series on the entire process from initial design all the way through to final construction. I'm simultaneously looking forward to this and dreading it because it's gonna take forever.